to talk about Mongolia, about its art and culture. I'm very glad to see you here again. So as you can see now, it seems that the time will change for this moment, this period, as it is more comfortable for most of the Discord members, for Europe, for European, for American, and also for Mongolians. So normally starting today, last time was a test kind of, and starting today, we will have the regular live on this time. Hello Bjorn, how are you? Nice to see you here. So today we also have mostly question from two person from Discord, Zachungo, that asked a lot of things that I could not answer. I didn't at the time in the last live. And Magne also added some very interesting question about the culture, about history, and things like that. So we will get into it right now. Hello, RingIndex. How are you? So I will start with the first question that is coming from Zachungo. Is asking, do people celebrate Christmas or anything like it in Mongolia? And what are some national holidays that they are actually celebrating in Mongolia? So in Mongolia, the main hello goose, the main holidays are, there is two main holidays in Mongolia, two main celebration. One is in February, or yeah, like in February, depends on the lunar year. So it's called Tsarantsar. So it's basically the new moon after the winter. So it was originally made to kind of like write the genealogic tree of the family. So all the family, all the members of the family, cousins, brothers, sisters, husband, the relative of husband and wife and all that, they kind of all gathered in one place. So back in time, in the traditional way, in the ger, in the area of the eldest of the eldest person, oldest person of the family. And that person would then write who got married, if there would be any children, anything, because sometime maybe for a year, so it happens once a year. So maybe for a year they would not get news from the relatives, because there would be no phone, there would be of course maybe not too much writing, post office or stuff like that. So basically they will write in like a hey do Mingjin, great to see you. They would write kind of like the genealogic tree, to be able to know who is with who, to avoid having mixed blood. So that's a very very old tradition that still continue nowadays with the Tsarantsar. So now with the Tsarantsar, the writing is not really made anymore, but still all the members of the family, they come and gather to the elder person of the family, to the grandpa, grandma, to celebrate, to give the good energy, the energy of the young person, to give it to the older person. So that's a very 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 big celebration. That's and something that is very interesting. Usually it's like, before Tsarantsar, it's super cold in Mongolia. And once there is Tsarantsar, the weather become totally different. It's almost like from today it's cold and tomorrow it start to be warm, kind of. So it's also very 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 interesting in terms of like meteorological sorry, behavior of the nature, of the temperature, the weather and all that. So it's also quite very interesting. And another tradition that relates to this Tsaranzar is for us, I say us Mörderhorch, so player of Mörderhor, we should kind of visit families to play a song on the Mörderhor, or either on our personal Mörderhor or on the Mörderhor of the house of the Gir, to kind of make all the bad or low energy of the winter, of the cold, and to bring good omen for the new year, for the new seasons to come, kind of like to bring good omen. So it's also again like a blessing. So it's called Jawar Urgech in Mongolian, and it's a very sweet tradition. So if there is no Mörderhorch, the person of the family would just make the Mörderhor ring a bit, kind of like play the double string together, or just try to do some little melody or something, just to have the sound of the Mörderhor being heard in in the moment, in that Tsaranzar celebration. And of course, there is a lot of milk tea, there is a lot of food, because the idea is to eat a lot, kind of also to give like an average for the year to come. So if we don't eat in that day, it means that in the whole year we might starve. So in that day, usually it can last for a few days, and in the countryside it can last for a few weeks sometime. And so the idea is really to eat a lot to give the good omen for the year to come. So that's one celebration. And the other celebration that is super, 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 super famous, and usually tourists they come for this celebration. It's the Nadam. So the Nadam is like it was originally the I would say maybe the game of the free men. So it's like the wrestling, the archery, and riding horses. So horses race. So that was traditionally more for showing off kind of our skills as men. So show to the king, show to the prince of the area, or how skilled we can be with archery, with wrestling. So that was kind of like competition, one side to make the man more like warrior, kind of like a purpose, one more purpose to be strong. And sorry. And on the other side, showing these skills that were trained for months, for years. So that's one thing. And this celebration happens in July. And usually foreign tourists, they come in that moment, in that time, to see the Nadam. So the wrestling is very interesting, because the wrestling of the Mongolian wrestling doesn't really have any rules. So it's like the first man that fall on the ground lose, and sometimes it can really last for a long time. There were battles that were like for half an hour, 1 hour, and it's very stressful because they just all then wait. It's also like it's a matter of strength, of course, but it's also a matter of passions. Being not rushing into the fight, because rushing might means to give the opportunity to the opponent to turn the battle. So it's very, very interesting. Then there is the archery. So the archery, there is also a lot of things going on. And the horse race is very emotional. For me, that's very emotional. Each time the horse comes at the finishing line, there is a lot of tears. That's very, very impressive, because they run for 10, 12, 14 kilometer, something like that. Maybe I'm wrong on the distance, but it's at least like 10 kilometer or something. And the energy that is going on the finishing line is very, very impressive. So the Nadam is also a very great celebration. And to get back to talk about Christmas, actually, yeah, there is a little bit Christmas in Mongolia. there is what is called the Santa Ovo, so kind of like Santa Claus, you could say, and he's a little bit different. He got a blue, I would say, blue robe, but it's also very close to the Santa Claus that we know in red with the big belly and the big bird and big beard and all that. So it's very close, and there is a lot of celebration around Christmas. In Mongolia, big celebration, usually also connected with the New Year. So I would say that in Mongolia, it's not as Santa Claus as it would be in Europe. That's more like a New Year party that mixed with a little bit of Christmas celebration, like with this kind of Mongolian version of Santa Claus. And yeah, that's kind of it. And there is other little holidays in Mongolia, but they are not as big as the Tsarantsar and the Nadam. So it's more like a one day or things like that. So maybe it's not worth mentioning all the specific days that comes. Mostly it's like the Nadam and the Tsarantsar. So that's about the Christmas and celebration. I hope it answers the question. I also saw that there were a message on the chat. Hello, RingIndex is saying maybe going to Mongolia next year. So what is your favorite part of Mongolia to visit, taking nature and culture into consideration? Okay, very cool question indeed. So that's very difficult to say because all Mongolia is amazing. That would really depend on what you like. If you like more like desert, yeah, like the Gobi, with more camels and all that. If you like plain, like kind of like an ocean, then that would be the east of Mongolia. If you like more woody, maybe like kind of like a forest, kind of geography, nature, then maybe the area of Kutskut would be more suitable for you. So the area of Tsatnu. And if you like a little bit of a mix of all that, then the west of Mongolia is very rich in different landscape. Also, the culture is also quite interesting because it's more related to the ancient culture. There is a lot of Homi, throat singing. There is a lot of Bilge, the folk dance. There is a lot of Tatlak that are played on Ikel, so the Mongolian Mergur. The landscapes are very, very amazing. The tea is very salty. That's super delicious. The arul, so these curd also are very tasty, very juicy. So for me, the area that I like the most is the west of Mongolia, for the reason also that there is a lot of things that relate to the Mergur, to singing epic. So that's very interesting in terms of like tradition and culture. But all Mongolia is amazing. There is dozens of different landscape that will blow your mind for sure. You cannot, in terms of nature, in terms of landscape, I never went to a place in Mongolia and felt like, oh yeah, that wasn't that good. Each time I go, I went to 15 of the 21 province of Mongolia, and each time I was blown away. I was like, wow, this is so pretty, this is so amazing, the energy and all that. And then in terms of culture, of course, the closest you will be to the city or the province capital, the lower the culture will be because it's gonna be very kind of modernized. But when you get farther from the city centers and stuff like that, of course, the culture get back. So there is culture everywhere in the countryside. Most people, they know a lot about the culture, of course. But if you are looking for something very deep, very specific, then you might need to look for it a little bit, because nowadays the true, how to say, expert of different subjects, especially in art, like the singing and all that, they are sometimes a little bit difficult to find. But for the nature, you will not be, I would say, you cannot, I mean, you cannot really be disappointed, whatever, wherever you will go. So yeah, that would be, for me, I really like the west of Mongolia is really beautiful. So yeah. Bjorn is asking, did you try horse riding before you went to Mongolia? Actually, I tried only once when I was a kid. That was like the scout camp, but that's all. I really started to ride horse because I'm not an expert. I did rode a horse a few times, so I have a bit of experience, but I'm not a professional at all. It's more like I would say hobby or something like that. And no, I didn't really had any experience with horse before, or with camel. So so yeah, I just came in Mongolia, and a lot of herder. They have very good horse, of course. They are very peaceful, calm horse. So they are very happy to share and to spend the time, and also to show the area where they are living, and kind of share their little secret. If we go there, maybe behind that rock there is something a little bit unique, or behind this tree, or behind that, or something. So they really like to share the uniqueness of the place they are living in. So that's also something that is very interesting. Just a bit of milk tea. Okay, so I can. I hope I answered the question, Bjorn. So I can move to the next part of Zachungo pack of question, if I can say. This one is also quite interesting, since it seems that Mongolians and other people like Tuvans and Altai have some similarities in their throat singing. I wonder if maybe they are sort of Tuvan or Altai version of the Mongolian Urtiin Duu. Hello, Blaviken. So this is a very, very, very interesting question. Maybe I would make enemy to share my opinion about that. But for me, the throat singing is really from Tuva, and it influenced all the region that are around it. It kind of shined around it. In my opinion, that's really my belief. But when it comes to Urtiin Duu, there is no doubt it's Mongolian. And one reason I think like that, it's from a technical point of view, and from linguistic kind of point of view. If we talk about the Homi, Tuvan people, they have a lot of different words to describe each different style, each different techniques they use in Homi, and also they have literally dozens of different techniques. That, from what I saw, I never really saw in traditional Mongolian throat singing. So there, in my opinion, there is a lot of chance that the throat singing is mostly Tuvan and shined and influenced around. And when it comes to Urtiin Duu, I would say that it's the opposite. Definitely, when it comes to Urtiin Duu, the Mongolian Urtiin Duu is like super rich. There is also, like there is in Tuvan Homi, there is dozens and dozens of different kind of very specific techniques when it comes to Urtiin Duu. And each of these techniques, just like the Tuvan Homi, they all have specific names when it comes to Mongolian language. So kind of like the Tuvan Homi, the richness of the Tuvan Homi is just as rich, and there is a lot of comparison that we can do between the Tuvan throat singing and the Mongolian Urtiin Duu long song. And when it comes to similarities and difference and all that, I heard a little bit of, I don't know about Altai, to be honest. I don't have too much long songs that are coming from the Altai Republic. I have some that are coming from Tuva. And actually, the Tuvan Urtiin Duu is very basic. So again, if I make the comparison with the throat singing, that's kind of the opposite. So basically, the Tuvan throat singing is super rich, and the Mongolian is a little bit more simple. When the Mongolian Urtiin Duu is like super super rich, and the Tuvan Urtiin Duu is a little bit more simple as well. Hello, Laura. Glad to see you here. So that's what I would say. But still, the idea of this melismatic music, as we saw in the previous episode of the Into the Murderor, kind of the stretched syllable and all that, it's still present, of course, in the Tuvan version. But in terms of different techniques, they mostly use the zochelt, from what I saw. So the this kind of technique of singing, but there is I didn't heard that much other different kind of effects and all that in the Tuvan recording that I have. So I would be definitely very interested to hear about Altai Urtiin Duu if there is. As far as I know, the Urtiin Duu is very present, of course, in Mongolia. There is a big pouch of Urtiin Duu of Urtiin Duu knowledge in the east of Mongolia. There is also a part if in Inner Mongolia. We saw also in the episode like the Tsar Urtiin Duu, that is kind of like a mix between the throat singing, the Urtiin Duu. It's also a very unique long song singing of the inner southern Mongolian. So yeah, it's like for me, I don't know too much about the Tuvan and the Altai, but that would be the difference and the similarities between all those. And I see Laura that is asking about the Buryat Urtiin Duu. Actually, I know some Buryat person, so I kind of heard their throat singing, which is also super interesting, but definitely seems like a big influence between the Mongolian throat singing and the Tuvan throat singing. It's kind of like a mix. I never heard yet any Buryat long song. I heard Buryat folk song, so the Urtiin Duu, kind of the small version. I never heard Buryat Urtiin Duu so far. So I guess there should be some, but that might be very rare. So same with the throat singing. That guy Alexander, he was talking about Mongolian throat singing. He wasn't really saying that he was doing Buryat throat singing. So also I guess there is quite a few research to do here when it comes to the different ethnic groups. So that's as far as my knowledge is reaching right now. I see that there is some other little comment there. Hello, RingIndex is asking, what is something you miss from France that you don't get in Mongolia? Oh, the answer is very fast. I don't miss anything from France. Kind of. Yeah, I guess maybe some, yeah, not really. I don't really miss anything from France, to be honest. And also, how has the quarantine been in Mongolia? Has it been strict? Okay, so it's a little bit a different topic, but it can be also interesting to talk about that. So we don't really have any quarantine in Mongolia. We don't really have we don't really have like a lockdown or something inside Mongolia, because we are not too touched by the COVID virus so far. The Mongolian response when the coronavirus got out in China, like in January, February, the Mongolian government like locked the country and kind of closed the border everywhere. So there were almost no one getting in or out of the country during the first few weeks. So we were very, very well protected. And now there is no tourist visa allowed. No one can come in Mongolia from outside Mongolia. To get in, it's super complicated, and one person, only Mongolians actually can come in Mongolia right now with special kind of like charter and stuff like that. And when they come in Mongolia, they are locked in a specific special hospital for 21 days. They have the quarantine for 21 days, and after those 21 days, they still have like a month or something of check, but they can go out of the hospital. So it seems to be pretty strict. Um, and yeah, as you know, I'm selling kind of like a murderhood and things from Mongolia, so it's a little bit tricky because there is not that many planes that are getting out of Mongolia. So to ship things abroad, that's a little bit complicated. For example, now it's been a bit more than 1 month that there is absolutely no plane for Europe. So yeah, that's a little bit tricky. So we are kind of in a bubble. So my life as a person living in Mongolia in Ulaanbaatar was a little bit harsh during the first few months, but now since the summer, kind of it got more or less back to normal. So the school are working, outside people are doing their things and all that. So I wouldn't there isn't like a huge difference for the people life inside Mongolia, but yet all the border are closed, locked. And I know a few Mongolians that were in Russia. One girl that worked in the circus, that she was where she was. I think she was in Italy, and another person, the daughter of my, how to say, flat owner, she just came from Germany, and they all had this like 21 days of quarantine. They were locked in a room in a specific building, hospital and stuff for the quarantine. So it seems to be pretty strict and respected. And also about that, actually Mongolians, they didn't celebrate Tsarantsar this year because of the COVID. They canceled the Tsarantsar. So we talked about celebration just before, and this celebration was canceled. So it was super weird because usually in that time there is a lot of people in the street, a lot of people going there and there with the Dell, wearing the Dell with the kids and all that, and going from one home to another one. And this year it was like a ghost city kind of. So that was super strange. Also on Facebook, usually people are posting how the Dell they wear, the gifts, and the picture of the family and all that. And this year was like just very simple picture that we're getting out of people just staying home and all that. So even this celebration is kind of sacred. It was very, very respected by Mongolian. They really made huge effort to avoid having a crisis of the virus within inside Mongolia. So, and same with the Nadam. The Nadam didn't really happen. So there were these few videos, and so it was more like a TV Nadam this year. So yeah, that was a little bit different from what I saw in the previous 6 years that I lived here. So yeah, that's about the COVID situation in Mongolia, I would say. And then I see Bjorn also interacting. I remember hearing some Japanese singing once that also stretched the syllab similar to Urtiin Duu, but it didn't have the same effect, kind of. So, okay, that's very interesting. If you have a recording or a video of that, I would definitely be super interested to hear this Japanese stretched syllab singing. Definitely super interesting. From what I know about the Japanese singing, I don't think that there is anything that is close to the Urtiin Duu. because I like to see the Urtiin Duu as having a very wet, soft, and very round sound. And from what I heard in Japanese music and singing, the sound is very dry, and they tend also to cut the singing in a very sharp way. I have a lot of geisha singing coming in my head right now, and also the soundtrack of Ghost in the Shell. Maybe you know that. So yeah, but yeah, I would definitely be interested to hear this Japanese singing, the one you heard. Maybe it's different from what I heard. And to make some comparison and maybe make some research, see if there is a connection or if it's just two different branch or something. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting thing to dig into. Okay, so I will move on to the next question. So the question was about the similarities between the Urtiin Duu in Mongolia and maybe in the neighbor region. And now, do these other people sing in similar ways? So yeah, we talked about that. What are the similarities and difference? Okay, we talked about that. And then the last question of Zachungo was about what is the word for the Urtiin Duu singer. So it's Urtiin Duu Chin. So in Mongolian, usually to express the profession of something, we use a ich or chin at the end. So for example, art is orang, orang butel. So orang butelch would be artist. Medicine is m, and doctor is imch. And then homi homich, maruhor maruhorch, Urtiin Duu Chin. So yeah, that's the word Urtiin Duu Chin for a singer of Urtiin Duu. And I see Bjorn also. It was from the soundtrack to Ghost of Tsushima. I just remembered it. Okay, so after that live, I will definitely look into it, or maybe you can actually share the video or the name on the Discord. I don't know if this type of singing is an actual traditional Japanese style, but it just reminded me of Urtiin Duu. Yeah, the Urtiin Duu is also, it's difficult to know if it's influenced or if it's kind of like, yeah, influenced or original or a mix or something like that. So the thing is that it's very, actually I will talk about that in the next question. So I will move directly to the next question that is coming from Magne, and he got like few questions that are all super interesting. How do Mongolian historians describe the Scythian heritage? So this is a huge one. How did that culture, so the Scythian culture, influence further Mongolian culture and development? And overall, I am curious about how Mongolians perceive the Scythian and the Hun of Attila. So that's a huge question, Magne. I don't know if you are here. I hope you are here to to see my reaction live to your question. Actually, I'm as you might know, guys, I'm starting my master degree this year, and I'm starting to have lesson, especially about this specific subject, the Scythian. So I wish this question would get out in few months, so I would have already a little bit more of information and knowledge about that. What I can say first is that from what I saw during 6 years here, is that I didn't add that much information, or it's like everything is about the Mongolian secret history and about Genghis Khan mostly. When we are not in very specific field, I would say. Now that I am in a school which has archaeology, very ancient historian and all that, it kind of started to change. And my archaeology teacher is actually also talking a lot about these culture. So as for what I know now, in the common, I would say the common mindset, these it's a lot about the Socrates story and Chinggis Khan, things that came before, and the Hunu, that is also very used, but there is so many much more other things than only those two or three different subjects. Unfortunately, that's what is getting out in conversation most of the time. So that would be more like from the average person mindset and interpretation and sharing of knowledge and all that. I would say from from what I see from my teacher, which is Ertem Batar, which he's been, he went in almost every province. He found very unique gold piece from that Scythian period, and I'm just I'm just starting to read this book right now about the subject, and he's much more open about the different thing because he found a lot of different artifacts, and also he explained me that actually Mongolian, they are not really nomadic. Nomadic is a little bit a wrong word to use to talk about Mongolians. He gave me that example of, like, for example, Arab, the gypsies, and which are kind of real nomadic. They don't really have a specific place. They move a lot from one place to another. But Mongolians, even though they are moving 4 or 5 times, they always stay in one area. So it's not exactly sedentary. It's not exactly nomadic. It's kind of like in the middle. So it's more related to I would say the pastoral culture. So nomadic is not actually too correct, and of course not sedentary is not also correct. So he's actually studying this question a lot by comparing the statues, the artifacts, and all that that is finding. So definitely about that, Magne, you can poke me up again maybe in 1 or 2 months because I would have much more information to share about that. So definitely historian and like pure scholar, for sure they are into it. They study the question and all that. But the thing is that what the big scholar are studying is not always getting out to the public for whatever the reason. So that's why I wanted also to give the feedback about, like, the average person, what they would think, what they would know. So yes, I'm just reading again the, the culture, and yeah, how the culture influenced further Mongolian. Well, that's for sure. The influence is huge. I was talking actually about that with Robert, that you might know, Robert McLaughlin. There is a lot of Scythian symbols, Scythian carving that are kind of taken in um, the Mongolian decoration, drawing, and all that, and it kind of get mixed and all. So definitely the Scythian culture influenced the Mongolian a lot. There is no arguing about that. So I wish I could be a little bit more specific, and I wish I could be, and I could give a bit more detail. Not, now my knowledge is a little bit small, so definitely once I learn more about that, especially from my school, those teachers and all that, I will be able to give you a better, I would say, better opinion, a better answer, more complex, complete answer. So I would say about that, let's meet again in 1, 2, or 3 months when I read more book about that, when I had more lesson with the different teacher I have, because I have history teacher, ancient history teacher, archaeology teacher, ethnology, So I'm really starting to get very, very deep lesson right now on these subjects. So in a few months, I will be able to give you a much more argumented and detailed answer. So I hope it still satisfied you a little bit. And I can move to the next question, also from Magne. Is asking, are there any traditional Mongolian drums and percussion? That's, of course, I think that most of you might know the shaman drum, the frame drum. This is definitely traditional. That's unfortunate. I just sent two to France today. But yeah, it's like it's very traditional. There is different shapes from triangle, 5 side, 7 side, 11 side, circle one, super clean, circle one with kind of, I don't know actually, it's like a circle and you have like wood inside, and when the skin is stretched, in tension on it, it's kind of like look like a star or something. So they call that sun drum. But basically, all those drum have the same use, as it's kind of like shamanic drums. Just the shape is different, so it depends, of course, on the lineage of the shaman. Some would need moon one, some would need sun one, triangle, and all that. So the frame drum is, of course, very traditional here. Maybe like there is this the Shagai, which is the well, I will show you. Um, it just there. So the Shagai are like the knucklebone from the ships and goats. So sometimes they kind of make a hole inside and then make some kind of, yeah, we could say like it's kind of like a collar, and then they use it like that to make also some kind of percussion with the shares. So now I just have like 6 of them, so it doesn't make too much noise. But if there is maybe 30, 40 on a little rope and then played like that, it's really making a little bit more of noise. So it's also a little percussion. And then let me think if I think about another one. Actually, yeah, except for the frame drum, maybe a big drum that can be, yeah, but I think it's more like the Tuvan. So yeah, that actually, yeah, not that many percussion actually. Or I'm not too aware of these. So that's for my knowledge about the percussion. Mostly it's about the shamanic drum. And I see someone actually wrote okay, I will answer to that just after Allo RingIndex. I will just finish with the last question of Magne, and then I see there is some question in the chat I will answer after that. So what are the specific occasions to sing the Urtiin Duu? Well, we already talked a bit about this before. Usually the Urtiin Duu is sang in the beginning of festivities, of celebrations, especially the Nadam, the Tsarantsar, when it's about branding the horse, taking the first hair of the kids, when it's like building a new gir for recently married people, the opening of a marriage. So basically any opening, any beginning of celebration should start with Urtiin Duu. So that's the main moment where there is Urtiin Duu in nomadic moment, in nomadic occasion. Or actually, once the event is going, so for example, when I went to the branding of horse, with my teacher. So I was playing Morel and my teacher, he was singing. So what we did, we made the opening of the celebration, of the ceremony, with one song. Once this song was over, they started to brand the horses, and then we kind of played for, I think, at least 2 hours. So the idea was like my teacher was singing a full Urtiin Duu, so usually 20 minutes, 30 minutes or something like that. Then once the song was over, I was playing a tatlak, which relates usually to horse. Then he would sing again one song, 20, 30 minutes, something like that. Then I would play one tatlak, then one Urtiin Duu, then one tatlak, then one Urtiin Duu, one tatlak. Kind of the fact to play the tatlak was to also make a bit of rest for the voice of my teacher. So that was the idea, and yeah, we kind of played for, yeah, I think like 1 hour 30, 2 hours or something. The time for the herder to brand all the horses. So there were, I don't know, there were quite a lot of horse actually in Mongolia. We don't say the number, so, but yeah, there were some pack. So that was pretty cool. And usually a celebration should always start with the Urtiin Duu, as my teacher usually tell me, if there is no Urtiin Duu chin, there is no celebration. It doesn't start. So yeah, that's kind of the occasion. And once the celebration is started, after a while, when we start to eat, then we can also all together sing Urtiin Duu. So as some of you might have seen in the Into the Morel show, I talk a bit about that. The Urtiin Duu that are sang and used for opening are different usually from the one that are used while we are just between friends celebrating, eating and drinking the arak. So the one for opening, of course, are more spiritual, more meaningful, more positive also, because the Besrek Urtiin Duu, sometimes they can be very sad. They can talk about kind of not really negative things, but more like usually it would be about maybe a couple that cannot be together, or a guy that is in love with a woman, but the woman doesn't pay attention to him, or these kind of things, or someone that get drunk too much and lose his horse, or these kind of things. So these songs are fine to be sang in a more informal context, because they are kind of prohibited to be sang in an opening or in a formal context because of this meaning, because they are kind of negative songs. And why negative? It's kind of like not really negative, but sharing a bad experience to give a lesson to the person. So for example, to take this example of that guy that drink too much and lose his horse, that the moral would be, don't drink, because if you drink, you're gonna lose everything. So that's kind of relating a bad experience to teach a good principle, or how to live one's life positively, in good omen, in good energy. So still there is positivity in that negative song, kind of. So about the Urtiin Duu, that would be the main occasion, the main time when they are sang. And yeah, that's kind of it. Or of course, you talked about occasion, so I thought about festivity directly, but usually when we are in the countryside riding horse, herding, or just relaxing somewhere, or then we can sing some Urtiin Duu, the same way as I know Magne, that you are singing Homi, the same way that if you drive your car, you're gonna sing Homi. If you are maybe close to a fire with some friends, you might sing Homi. It's just like that. So it's kind of like a all the time occasion to sing the Urtiin Duu. Only in specific moment there is specific Urtiin Duu to be sang, kind of like prayer, blessing, good omen things, and in other time we sing more casual Urtiin Duu. So I hope that it answers the question. Know that as for me, I'm almost always singing Urtiin Duu when I walk, when I go there. I will always have a melody going on. So yeah, that's kind of it. And I saw a few questions in the live, which I will answer right now. So Hello, RingIndex is asking, so a very, very different question. When Mongolia has election, how do the more nomadic people and people who aren't close to the major cities vote? Whoa, that's a super good question. Actually, I have no idea how it goes. Well, I'm not sure how it goes in the countryside because as I'm a French, I cannot vote in Mongolia, so I'm not too crazy interested about how election are working. Actually, I'm super honest right now. That's definitely something that I should dig into. Um, so yeah, I'm actually trying to think, but yeah, sorry, I cannot answer you right now how it works. I don't know if it's like by post or if they need to go in. I think that they might need to go in the I would say all province have kind of like a capital. So I would say that they might need to go to the capital to do their vote. I think also they can ask someone to vote for them, as far as I know. So, but yeah, I prefer to stop the answer right now because I'm not too sure about how it works exactly. Sorry about that. And yeah, election is not really super, I would say, positive subject here. There is a lot of corruption, it seems. Mm, and yeah, that's not too, that's a little bit sensitive also. So I will pass to the next one. Well, I guess it's sensitive. Politics is sensitive everywhere anyway. Is it true from Bjorn? And I think it's gonna be the last question, as it's the last question that is in the chat. Is it true that people have used those as dice in a game? So I guess that you are asking about these Shagai that they use as dice in games, and actually, yeah, we do. So for example, if I take the horse race game. So I will take some of those charrets. So basically there is 5 sides on a charret. The first one, I will try to take one that is a little bit uh, obvious. Okay, this one is pretty cool. So the first side, which is this one, kind of like with 2 holes here, is the horse side. Then on the opposite, kind of with a hole, it's the camel side. Then this one is the sheep, and the hole here is the goat. And the fifth side, kind of, it's if it fall like that. So not really in on any of these 4 different sides, kind of like standing. So some people call that the man position, human position, the person position. Some also say like it's the cow. So I like to believe that it's the cow because it would be the 5 animals that are very used in the Mongolian herding. So camel, horse, goat, sheep, and cow. So that's about how each of the face of the charret are named and used. And when it comes to the dice, usually we would have, for instead of using only one, we would maybe have like four or eventually six. So that would make a six face dice kind of. So when we throw it, the number of horse would give the number. So for example, if I have six charrets and I throw it, if I have no horse, then that would be zero. So in the horse race, I will not move. If I have six horse, that would be a six. Then I can move six step. So that's kind of like how Mongolian use these charrets and kind of convert these charrets as dice that we use commonly in our kind of like table game. So I hope it answers the question, that it's complete enough. And I see Maurice that is asking also, hey man, do you have any idea when it is possible again to visit Mongolia again? Okay, Maurice. Well, that's also pretty complicated. So far, what I heard is that the frontier, the border of Mongolia is still closed until next July. So it might not be possible for tourists to come in Mongolia until next July. This is awful. That's super bad. That's what I heard. So far, like as I said just a little bit before, I'm shipping things from Mongolia to help foreigner get Mongolian things like murder or other things. And it was starting to get a little bit okay in the summer, but last 2 months it's getting super worse. There is absolutely no plane. It's super complicated. There is not a lot of person that get in. Definitely not a lot that are getting out. So the situation is, even though in Mongolia, as I was saying before, even though in Mongolia we are kind of fine, to get in, to get out, it's totally closed. We are in a box, kind of. We are in a locked box, kind of. Depending on how the situation with the virus will evolve, if there is some, I don't know, if it stopped just magically, if it stopped, then I guess that it's gonna be possible again to come in Mongolia soon. But so far, and as far as I heard, it's gonna be still complicated or eventually not possible until next July. So that's what I heard so far. So hopefully it's gonna evolve into a more positive outcome. So people would be able to maybe come in May or June or something like that. Because also economically for Mongolians, this tourist season that didn't happen is extremely bad, because there is a lot of Mongolians that live only with that period. Some Mongolians that are crafting things, crafting souvenir or things like that they're gonna sell to foreigner during the summer. The guides, the families in the countryside that usually welcome tourists, and so many people in Mongolia that really relates a lot to the tourist life to be able to live for the year. So a second year that would not happen would really be devastating for a lot of people. So far it's gonna be until July. Hopefully it's gonna be open again before that, or hopefully there would be some help from the government for all those people that are not able to take this tourism money. So that's what I know so far about how to come in Mongolia when. So if I have more news, I will definitely give it to you. So Saransul, Aryon Zorik is asking, where are you now? I am at home in Mongolia, in Ulaanbaatar. I live in Ulaanbaatar now for 6 years, and this is my home. So it looks like a full gear. It's actually not exactly a full gear. It's like half a gear that I collected all these items and all that during my time in Mongolia, and after having quite a lot, almost half a full gear, I decided to open a cultural center, which unfortunately had to close in February for COVID one side and for a few other reasons on the other side. And then I decided to keep sharing the culture, keep working on the show, keep sharing and spreading information. So I just changed my living room into a gear decoration. So this kind of use as a, yeah, I would say maybe show studio or something. So I can do all the cultural things in this gear kind of decoration. But still, I sleep on the ground here every night, like in the countryside. So I'm half countryside person, I would say. Half city, half country. Maybe that's a transition time for later when I will be living in the wild for real. So Tingir Midne, as we say. Um, do Mingjin is asking, do Mongolians used to eat pork? I know that they are actually eating wild wild pork, wild pig. I don't know how we say actually. Yeah, wild animal like that. But yeah, it's Mongolians. They usually eat mostly cows and sheep, mostly. Pork, not that many. Maybe in some occasion a wild one. But yeah, that's kind of it. Then, oh, actually, the chat is getting very lively right now. Goozy Bob is saying the curse is causing more damage than the virus. Here in ways, at least it's an economic disaster. So yeah, it's like yeah, yeah, exactly, wild hog. Yeah, that's kind of like the with the big horn, right? Big teeth, kind of. So yeah, yeah, there is that. Actually, in the west of Mongolia, there is some, and I tasted once when I went there, and it was super super tasty. Sorry for my vegan friends. So yeah, yeah, for the coronavirus, of course, that's very complicated for a lot of person, for a lot of people, for a lot of persons, especially artists, people that relates a lot to human connection and all that. So, but it will get better. It will work. And Maurice is asking, so is it is possible for you to travel everywhere in Mongolia at the moment? So yeah, I can move in Mongolia kind of freely. But if I get out, I will not be able to get in again for sure. So yeah, for now I will start, I think, to move on archaeological site with my teacher. Maybe I will maybe go next week somewhere and maybe go in the desert of Gobi and stuff like that. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that I need to go to 4 or 5 sites in the next months, and that should not be a problem. It's kind of fine within Mongolia. It's just like all the border are kind of like filtered, so all the entering exit point are like controlled, from what I heard. But the reality, when there is money, maybe there is a way. I don't know. But yeah, so far that's kind of the situation. Okay, so I hope that I answered all the question. It's again been 1 hour. The time is going too fast. Each time I think that okay, I will make a live. It's gonna be half an hour, and try to be as succinct as I can. But each time it's kind of for 1 hour. So yeah, I think that's it for today. As it's already been an hour. As a friendly reminder, know that if you are interested in learning the Mongolian script, the Mongolian calligraphy, I'm selling the book of Altantuya on the website. So if you are interested in the Mongolian script, this beautiful writing you can see here, you can buy this book on my website. There is daily exercise, daily grammar explanation. It's in Mongolian right now. So far it's in Mongolian, but it's still a very great tool. And if you don't know Mongolian, it's still gonna be helpful to learn the different Mongolian script later. And if you have questions, you can always ask me or ask Altantuya directly. She knows a little bit of English. So friendly reminder, if you are interested, go on my website, check that out. It's very worth it. Also, as usual, feel free to like, share this channel, the videos. If you want more direct interaction, you can come on Discords. Now we are almost reaching 2,000 person. That's super crazy, awesome. A lot of passionate person about the culture, ancient culture, a lot of sharing, a lot of knowledge going on, and it's super interesting. So you can get on Discord. And if you are more specifically interested into the murderer, you can, if you don't have one, you can buy one from me. I will ship it to choose it, select it, check it, and prepare it, and then ship it to you if there is plane, of course. So you can check that out, and you can subscribe on my website if you wish to contribute to what I do, to this adventure, to the research, to the spreading of the culture. And if you subscribe, you will have private access on Discord. It's mostly for people who are learning the motherhood, but it can be for any person that are interested into the Mongolian culture. For the subscriber, I give private, direct YouTube video answer. So that can always be interesting and useful. So that's kind of like the advantage of the subscription. And for me, that's super helpful because it helps me keep going, keep doing my research, keep going to school, keep spreading and making all this content, all these videos. So definitely every help, every gesture is super welcome. And I think that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed, that it was interesting, and that you had a good time. And until next time, may the blessing of the eternal blue sky be upon you. Bye bye.